Welcome back to Spoken Synergy. We are back. It's been a while. I think it's been a few months. We're all very excited to be here. We've got far too much smoke smouldering out of the cauldron. And I am here with two people that I just absolutely love. We have Angel here from Village Witch Alchemy and Ryan from Mountain Peak Media. And what we're doing today is we're doing the new style, which is we've been sent a whole bunch of questions from our followers, from our Patreons, from our students and our clients. And we're going to answer them today, all of us together, and see if we can expand on some of these beautiful topics. So you have no idea what the questions are going to be. I have briefly looked over them, but making sure that I haven't mulled over them or have any pre-programmed answers. And Ryan, they'll be new to you too, so feel free to contribute at any time. How are you all feeling today?
I am a little bit lethargic, feeling quite relaxed, and I'm a little bit high.
From all the smoke. And we have a beautifully hand-carved pumpkin here, which is absolutely divine with all the warts included. It's amazing. You did a good job.
The warty goblin.
The warty goblin.
The warty goblin.
Okay, we will dive straight in and let these questions open up a beautiful conversation here on Wanjerabara soil. So, first one for you, Angel, is...
It's for me.
And I know it's for you. Have you ever pissed anyone off when telling them a vision you've had about them?
Every day! To the point where I now charge per hour. So, want me to piss you off? This is what I charge per hour. I happily do that for a living. And I've actually chosen to make it my life's work. Why? Because people don't always want to hear the truth.
That's true.
Yeah, they want the nice stuff. And that can be a real problem when all you have is truth. And for me, it's just all about the truth. And there's something missing in my brain that says, you know, I should feel upset in my body or concerned in some way. It's just like, this is the truth. And they're all upset. And I'm like, oh, okay, why? Why are you upset? I don't understand. It's the truth.
So another layer of that would be, as a clairvoyant,
Yes.
you see.
Yes.
You don't see conveniently just in session times. You see all the time all sorts of things.
I never speak without asking consent, first and foremost.
Very
Never,
important.
ever. There's nothing worse than some random person coming up to you, being all weird, and just going, oh, I had a vision and I saw this. I have to know the person really well to openly say it, because those people who are friends of mine know.
Yeah.
And they're well aware of what they're in for.
Yeah.
And they're grateful for it.
Yeah, I've
So
actually...
if I'm like, you need to get on a plane and get out of the country now, they know to do it. Also, you need to not get in that car tonight with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I will not see you in the morning. Freaks people out, and because of my track record and my history, people are like, I'm fucking listening to this bitch.
Yeah.
It's just straight up, I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but never without consent than with anyone else. So generally, I get to not have to worry about pissing people off, because they've walked through my door, they've paid me money to hear what I have to say and for me to expand on what I might see. So, like it or lump it, they've paid, which means they've given consent.
Yeah, I have definitely been somewhat interrupted by psychics giving me messages in inappropriate places when I'm not receptive.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, and although it is interesting information and sometimes on point, I find it's, if I'm not ready to receive, I reject the experience and I get very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I like a boundaried space too that says consent. Okay, I'm ready to receive whatever messages you have, and whether they're comfortable or will put me into discomfort, I think my receptivity is amazing for that.
Yeah.
And you have to trust the source.
Yeah.
And obviously, some of the visions you see aren't pleasant. You would have disturbing visions about people that you greatly love.
Yep.
And that can piss them off if you tell them, or...
Yeah, and so I do not tell them unless they're open to receive, so they need to know about it. There's lots of things I see for lots of people that I never tell them. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
But I always ask first my guides, is that any of my business? Why are you showing me that? Do they need to know?
Yeah.
Sometimes their guides will come over and run interference, and they're like, you need to tell her now. Okay.
Yeah.
please don't get in that car with your friends tonight. It's going to end really badly, you know? And sometimes it's like you need to go and tell this person that thing. Excuse me, I need consent. This is my story. How does that make you feel? Are you happy now for me to tell you what I saw? Most people will just go, yeah, I want to know. I've never met anyone that's ever said to me, I don't want to know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I make it really clear why I've approached someone and said, hey, I've got a message for you. Yeah. Your grandmother's here and she needs you to know something, but are you open to receive that message? Have you been noticing your lights flickering, weird shit happening and weird smells, all the things? And people just freak out and they're like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, your grandmother's been hanging around, but you ain't been paying attention. Now she's pestering me. Can you please fucking take her back? Fucking sick of it. Are you ready to hear the message so that she'll leave me alone, please?
Yeah.
And generally they're just like, oh my God, yes, tell me.
Yeah, because the ridiculously powerful thing about consent is you're asking someone to prepare.
Yeah.
You're also giving them a chance to say, I'm not receptive right now. If I think about the psychics that have given me messages outside of a boundaried state, I was never asked for consent. I was almost talked to. And even though the information was positive, I felt like there was some kind of violation.
Yeah.
Because then I distrusted the information because I didn't actually sign up to the experience. So I got very confused about, should I not have heard that? Can I actually trust that information? Why does that make me feel so uncomfortable, even when they're telling me good things? And I remember at one stage I had to say, you can't do that to me in this environment. I am not receptive, because I didn't want to cause any kind of tainting of their beautiful information. And I also wanted to protect them too. I'm like, if you think that your beautiful gifts are here for you to blabber at some random in an op shop, then I really want you to do something more with that medicine, because that is not a good use of your gifts. And even though I was respectful, I was like, why? So the consent part is really important. And I guess your guides protect you from messages that will fall on dead ears.
Yeah, these days I'm pretty good at just trying to keep it all just switched off, close it down. I'm going to the supermarket now. Yeah, I need milk and bread and the regular things, and I don't need to be open and seeing everything for everyone. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
So it's just a practice of shutting that down. If it is something that is absolutely important and my guides are like, ugh, then I'm just going to go, okay, I'm getting a twitch and a headache. What is happening? It's like, do I really need to? Is this really any of my business? It's very rare these days that it is any of my business. And then I just spend a lot of my time just keeping to myself.
Yeah, let's definitely talk about, for gifted people, all of the clairs. Yep. We're talking about psychic abilities and how they sort of manifest in different people in different way. Everyone's got their own flavour. I certainly found that those gifts were much harder to accept and understand when I didn't have an outlet to use them properly.
Yeah.
I was constantly saying, why do I have to feel all this for other people? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I would go through the supermarket aisles and just feel that someone was so drastically lonely. Because I'm like, why do I all of a sudden feel so alone? Took me a long time to realise that it wasn't all mine, that it was that person's. But then the next filter and layer comes in of, why am I feeling this? It's usually to like learn about your gifts, to gather data, to think about it in a different way. It's not about blurting that out, giving that person a hug from a stranger or trying to fix it in any way. It's usually just about, these are your gifts, learn from them and know when and where to open them up. But I didn't know at that time that I needed an outlet.
Yeah.
So it's like when you actually sit down to serve people and you do readings and you can fully go into it, these are all the visions and this is all the discomfort I need you to feel. That gives you an outlet and it makes your gifts more manageable, but it gives them purpose, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're trying to squash them into boxes and like make it all easier to tolerate, and we got to like boundaries and all the things. I guess for anyone out there, it's like if you've got those gifts and if they're heightening and you have that awareness and it's becoming uncomfortable, you might need an outlet. you might need to use them.
Yep.
You might need to read for your friends, or get out there and take a risk, or share your medicine, share your light, share your gifts. Right? We tell a lot of people this, but it's difficult in the beginning to understand it. So all those beautiful visions that you have, and you get to piss people off with them.
Yeah, totally.
Isn't that great?
All the time.
That was a beautiful question from one of our patrons. Don't we love them?
Yes.
We love them. Okay, next question. Has there been any modalities or divination practices that you won't go back to or spooked you too much?
Oh. I can't say there is. There are obviously things that aren't really in alignment with me. It's like, that's really cool, but I'm not going to make that my life's devotional practice.
Mm.
Yeah, because a lot of people will just go, oh, voodoo. I'm like, you ever learnt voodoo? Do you even understand it? Like, have you gone into that religion? Do you understand the hoodoo? Like, it's fucking cool, but it's like, that's a religion. It's like Wicca. It's a religion. I don't like the boundaries and the walls and the restrictions and the rules. Too many rules for me. It's got to be done like this all the time. I'm like, no. I just take a little bit from everything. And for me, is there anything? I can't really say. I always stick by a couple of certain rules. And as long as it doesn't cross over those rules, I'm good.
So there's been nothing that you've opened up the box and gone, that's way too hectic. I am not doing that again.
Oh, what has been?
Well,
I'm trying to think. I'm like,
It's like, are you leading me somewhere?
yeah, where is this going? What
well, I'm actually like intrigued if you've been spooked by anything, because you're generally not too spooked by most things. It doesn't matter how many deceased individuals are in the room while we're doing a session, or how many ancestors are like knocking on the door or whatever. You don't seem to be spooked. I will talk about a couple of clients I've worked with have done a Ouija board session back in their teens.
Yep.
And had things attached to them ever since.
That's normal.
And in their adulthood, we've had to pry those things off them. And then all of this newness and relief and everything comes. So that can spook people out.
Absolutely. Well, that speaks a lot of people out, but people just don't have an understanding of how to use it well. They don't know how to use it safely. It's not something I use, but I can use it. I've had very talented people use it in front of me on my behalf to rid some demon from me. And they made a mess of it. So it's just like, you know what? That's just, you don't mess with that juju unless you are 100% a professional and know exactly what you're doing with it.
Well, what we notice a lot with our students, right, is we give them a framework, we give them some toys to play with. These are some methods, some ways. Most of them hit different areas of too far.
Yeah.
Like, whoops, I slipped into another realm. Whoops, I went a bit too far there. Whoops, now there's dead people talking to me. Okay, what the hell's going on? But I think those things that spook you are the things that you end up going towards again.
Yeah.
So I would try out some of my tools and like reach beyond what I've been taught. And I would hit areas of like, whoa, I don't think I'm going to do that again. But then a few days later, I think, I might go back. That was kind of cool. Because you learn so much from the fear.
Yeah, look, as a child, you know, seeing dead people in spirit used to, like, freak me out because I'm a little kid.
Sure.
But I always chased it.
Yep.
I was always looking for abandoned buildings as a kid on a bicycle riding around. Oh, look, there's an old derelict abandoned house. I'm going to go sit in there and see if I can see dead people. And I always chased it. Hanging out in the graveyards, doing all the things.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that spooked me too much. Certainly difficult experiences I now approach with a lot of respect and caution.
Yeah.
Where I didn't before. So plant medicines was one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went in guns blazing, full Aries style. And then I backed away like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was so disrespectful. Please don't hurt me. Okay, if I need you, I'll be back. But I hope that I don't, because that was very terrifying. And then I come in with a completely different level of respect.
Yeah.
So anything that usually spooks me, practices or places that I go to with my guides, I go with caution now, I go with respect, and I back away like, thank you for the experience, but please don't take me there again unless I need to.
Yeah, I have to say, I can't take plant medicine the way everyone else takes plant medicine.
Yeah, well.
But I can't even drink alcohol either. Everything is just like triple O, send me an ambulance, I'm fucking dying. I've just projectile vomited everything up the ceiling.
Oh, okay. So your divination practices that spook you too much are substances and alcohol.
Yeah, like my body just rejects it. It's like I can't even have an anti-inflammatory without my body rejecting it. And I'm like, I can't go there. My body just says, no, you're not doing it.
Yep, okay, fair enough. So we all have our boundaries.
Yeah.
And things that the guides say, not for you.
No,
You're
I
done
have
there.
to do plant medicine in a different way to what other people do it. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is a really nice question from another one of our Patreon pixies. Does a soul choose the human vehicle with the DNA they need to fulfill their path?
DNA is a question I've never been asked. The rest of the question I've been asked before.
Sure.
That comes down to a belief system. So it's entirely up to you and what you believe. Belief preference is huge on that topic. Everyone will have their own story around it. For me, personally, 100%. I chose actually the lessons. So this is the level of evolution I wanted. And basically I line up with a list of, I want to learn these things. And they're like, you're going to need this vessel.
Yeah.
You're going to want to do those things. You need that vessel. Off you go.
Yeah.
I'm like, yay.
I would agree with that. I like the sciencey nature that the DNA brings in. So it's like if I signed a contract to live through all these evolutionary lessons, I believe one of the biggest factors of that is I have to choose the right people.
Yep.
Right? I've got to, like, one of the fundamental places that I'm going to get evolutionary growth from is my parents, and they'll give to me my DNA.
Yep.
And I love how DNA and genetics and everything switch on and switch off. That's something I've been watching for years. So it's like I can choose the vessel and have some kind of maybe spiritual understanding about the DNA that comes from the parents, but will the DNA switch on in the right ways? Will I embrace the full potential of that evolutionary growth if I switch on the right genes?
Yep.
Or will I take it on a different tangent of sabotage and make all the DNA switch off? It's like, even with shamanic totems, I can fulfill all of the light in it, the power and everything, or I can just take that animal down its shadow path and just fulfill destruction.
Yeah, totally. And chaos.
Yeah.
All of it.
So I guess you do... DNA just feels like it's part of the package.
It is part of the package. It's part of the evolutionary package. I would say in order for a lot of us to evolve, we've got to look back at our ancestors every time. As we know, working with people, a lot of the stuff is locked. Part of the lessons and the training that we have as an individual is what we've been gifted by the people that came before us. So if we're just staying in this incarnation, we're looking at our bloodlines, our DNA. We are very much in need of the DNA that we have in order to get the training that we need to evolve.
Totally. So it gets like, if you think about the celestial element, right, of like those evolutionary lessons, a lot of what we do is like having a look at the intense trickle feed from the ancestry. Multiple layers of ancestral trauma, everything they went through, conditioning, and it all trickles down to one individual. When they stand up and say, actually, I don't want these cycles anymore, I'm going to do life the way that I want to do, we're in there like trying to clear out all the things like, okay, we'll get rid of that, and that guy, nah, that's not going to work. And it's like you can see how immensely big the soul's journey is.
Yeah.
And most people, myself included, get stuck in, but I don't understand why I can't do the thing. And we say it's because 20 generations before you never had the chance, so everything in your body screams at you saying it's not possible. And you sit there going, but I want it, but I can't move. What's happening? And if we like look at all of that that's been orchestrated, when that soul does move forward and defies its trauma that's come through the ancestral line, the universe just opens up.
Absolutely.
But they could not do that. They could sit and wallow
Absolutely.
and grieve in their victim voice.
Pass
and
it
just
down.
Pass it down.
Down the line to
Breathe
the next
it down
generation.
the line.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, I like that. I like the idea that we sign a contract, we pick the vessel, we pick our soul contracts around us, but it's greatly dependent on what we do with that.
Yeah.
We can get awesome DMA from our parents and convince ourselves that it's shit.
Yep.
Can't we? We can say, oh, look, they weren't good enough, they didn't give me what I needed, fuck it. Or we can say, well, I like these parts, and I like those parts, I don't like that part can go away. I'm going to take these qualities from dad, these qualities from mum, and these other people that I grew up with, and use it.
Yep.
To go somewhere.
Yep.
So it's, when you open up the whole story, it's so much bigger than just what the ego wants in that time. It's more like a beautiful masterpiece that's being painted.
Yep.
And there's so many different elements. So we see that a lot, don't we? Clearing away all of the juju. Oh, that's a very interesting question. So let's get Ryan in on this one.
Oh,
Ryan, how are human souls different to animals?
Okay, just give me a moment.
Yeah.
How are human souls different to animals? One, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are.
Nice answer.
I think we place intelligence on the fact that we can communicate and we can build things, but animals have amazing intelligence, and I automatically think of like whales and dolphins, and we have no idea what is going on, like zero. And so I think it's that part of that thing that we are important, we are the thing, and everything else is this not the thing, or we're special in some way, like that we are in God's image, made in God's image, that thing. So I think the question, are animal souls different to human souls, would be what makes you think you're different?
Yeah.
Like what part of you thinks that they are different?
Yep.
Because I think that's part of the human condition, is to say I'm separate.
So do you think that you could get quite a lot of evolution if you reincarnated back into an animal and did that for a while?
Why not?
Totally. I think you make a great animal.
I mean,
reincarnate as a cow in India.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that
I want to know where your cat reincarnated from. She's hilarious. She's just going to annoy you in this lifetime. It's hilarious.
But it's funny because I wouldn't say that I'm an animal person. You know,
interesting.
But that may have something to do with my mum, because we had a big family growing up.
Yeah.
So I think taking care of an animal was like another thing. It's like she's already got 5 animals. It's like, so the only animals we'd have are strays.
Yeah.
And we'd have them just enough to form a little emotional bond to them,
But
and then they'd be gone.
Part of the family.
Like this cat is going to the pound, or this dog has run away, or so I don't have, and I think I'd like to do it at some point in my life, to invest in an animal and have that emotional connection. But I've got kids too, so
I did it all.
Yeah.
Everyone together.
Yeah.
Work it out.
So what, because you've had a lot of animals over your lifetime already, so what to you is different from a human soul to an animal soul? Like, what's the difference between having a human friend and having an animal friend? Much?
Simplicity.
More simple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans are very complex. They love to overcomplicate everything.
True.
Animal, simple.
Yeah.
Basic instincts. They want affection. They're in your face. You fucking give it now, human. They want food. They'll tell you. They don't care about competing. They'll compete for basic needs. Yeah, for survival. That's it. There's no other competition for anything else. Only for survival. For us, we're always comparing ourselves. We are more advanced because all these things. Thus, we are superior over the animal. Yeah.
But it's almost like I see this sometimes, it's like, if my soul decided to incarnate, I choose the vessel, I choose the path. If human's the way, human's the way. But we teach our students that there's usually like a waiting room of which your soul decides the next leg of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some stuff to do. It's an ever unfolding journey. And I think if I decided to come back through as an animal soul, there's a part of me that just thinks, how beautifully simple and relieving. I won't have to process my ego. I won't have to have all these complex problems. I'll just be like very simple, and I can still play out a lot of lessons.
Yep.
But I also have the consciousness of the animal group. So I love that idea that, cows have cow consciousness that they all share, like the mycelium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if one cow goes off and does a thing, all the cows are like, woo, we did a thing. And I think that's really beautifully tight-knit. And a different way to evolve, but then some souls choose to hang back and guide others.
Yep.
Yeah. So if we dropped dead and you decided to reincarnate back to Earth, I might just sit there and watch you and tell you things every now and then and just be your guide and just fuck up your environment a little bit and just send in someone you love and hate at the same time as your cat, and fucking it's all happy days. It's like there's so many options, but when you're super emotionally connected to an animal, it is profound. It's like you can share consciousness, you're speaking all the time, they sit somewhere in your heart. And I find as a human, I'm constantly like negotiating if that's okay. Like, should I feel this divinely connected to this animal? Have I reincarnated with a soulmate here that has dreadlocks and is just ridiculous?
And happens to have 4 feet
Yeah.
instead of 2.
Yeah, it's like so interesting, but when you feel that, you're like, okay, well maybe our souls are fairly similar. It's just a different level of consciousness. And I love that he's not second guessing if he's worthy or not. He's just like, let's play, let's eat, let's do the thing. I'm tired, great.
Yep, all the things really simple.
Yeah, super simple. So we probably didn't answer the question, but we blew it open a little bit. Oh, this is a great question. So, can I dissipate the veils between myself and my auras and learn to feel that energy without freaking out?
Yes, absolutely.
Next.
Just take some practice, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll expand on that first, because the question before that was, what is the aura?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Which makes it gives a bit more content, right?
So I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, yes. Yes is the answer.
So I
Right.
guess for people discovering all of their spiritual nature, when those veils start thinning, so when things start to come in, their gifts get heightened, their aura expands, they're starting to get more of an intuitive feed. A lot of them freak out, right?
Yeah, I find, because sometimes at first it's just like, oh yeah, this is nice, and then it's like, okay, that was just like, that's too real, and now I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it was super fun when I was just doing a guided meditation and that was there, but now it's happening in real life. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, I'm
Most
starting to
people
see
start
things,
rejecting.
and they're starting to happen,
Yeah.
and I'm like, now I'm freaking out. I don't like that.
So yours came through like premonition and stuff.
Yeah, small child.
Yeah. So I can't remember how mine was coming through, but it was probably just feeling everything all at once for all people.
Right.
And that was fine when I was doing that in some kind of setting.
Yes.
So I remember certain substances took me there, psychedelics and stuff,
Yep.
and I would feel everything all at once in my body for everyone. You can see it was very close to a breakdown, and it was not fun, and I'm crying for hours, and I can't explain the situation, and I don't understand why everybody's so lonely and the world is so dark.
Yep.
I didn't realise that it wasn't all mine. I just thought, so underneath all of my veils is a pit of loneliness and darkness? What is happening here? But I learned to understand that it wasn't just the psychedelics opening up that experience. It was actually part of my gifts, and I had to learn to manage it and do all those things. So how would you describe the aura? You probably see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an energetic field. How far would you say that is? I can see it around the body.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
It's an energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
For some, they just say that's the aura, and then you've got etheric fields. Some people have said to me, etheric fields are your aura.
Yeah.
Yeah. whatever it is you choose to call it, that's your choice. It doesn't matter. But it's all about the energy that you are actually, that is emanating. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
From your
already.
body.
Yeah.
Some people can see it, and it'll show either as a glowing soft light, and sometimes it's full of colour. If you're tuned in enough to see the colours, you can tell a lot about the individual.
Can I ask you a question? So there was these scientific studies done of people, and they said, okay, you can see auras. Yeah, we can see auras. And what they did is they got people in behind these cardboard cutouts, like so that they were behind the cardboard cutout, and apparently they all got it wrong. That, you know, they said, oh, there's a person behind that one, and there wasn't.
Oh.
And then there's not a person there, and there was. So it's like, if you can see that
Halo. It's
halo,
like a halo.
yeah,
Yep.
then you should be able to see it behind
An actual solid figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I often see the halo around live things. Trees, plants, animals. If I see any kind of aura on a person, I've got to, because somebody's asking, I've got to stop, refocus my train of thought, change my vision to actually see it, because it's not something I'm like looking at everyone in their auras all day long. It's fucking exhausting. But somebody trained me how to see the auras, and it just took practice, but it was useful when something's wrong with someone and they didn't know what it was.
The reason I brought that up is because, you know, whenever you're kind of discussing these types of things, and I know for myself, I can be, skeptical is not the word, but it's like I don't take everything just at face value. You know, so for example, if someone says I can see auras, and then you put them behind these cardboard cutouts and they can't see it, it's like, well, you know, but I think it's interesting whenever this scientific kind of analysis is being done, how that impacts the results. And I don't know the answer, but I think it's interesting, like, you know, when you're trying to measure something that's the unseen, or measure something that's in this
absolutely
spirit world, it's almost like it doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't want to be measured. And so it's like, okay, that proves that it's not real. You caught you. It proves it's not real. And it's like, I find that interesting. It's like, it almost wants to stay hidden.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, and that made me really understand whether it's worth measuring or not. So when I was learning acupuncture, I'm at uni and I'm learning Chinese medicine, right? They start telling us and teaching us about phantom limb and all sorts of things where people lose their leg. And these people come into our student clinic. They have no arm, no leg. Sometimes they were born that way, but they have pain in the limb that's missing. And we think, well, nothing we can do about it, right? Teacher goes, no, this is energetic medicine. He rolls up a towel, puts it where the arm was, and acupunctures the towel, and she finds relief from her pain. Right? We know there's not a limb there, but the idea is the chi still runs and remembers where the limb was. She's experiencing pain in a place where there is no physical nerves, but it's real to her. Then her belief systems tell her that something is coming in and changing that pain and giving her relief. Who cares if it works and how it works? If your client experiences relief, great. The thing is that psychics don't serve skeptics very often. Why would we? We want people that need to hear about their aura, whether they can measure it or not. It's more about what you need to hear, your belief systems, how you're willing to invest in energetics in the moment, than it is about the measurable. That took me a long time to understand with a health science degree. I was like, but what are the facts? In the end, I just started working with people in an intuitive space, and I got much better results because they weren't worried about right and wrong and factual information. They wanted me to understand them on an energetic level and provide solutions that way.
Yeah.
And my mind was like, but I want to measure it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
When you say that, what my mind goes to, which is kind of like, it's like, that's the placebo effect.
It is.
That's the part that it's like, we don't know.
No.
It's doing it.
That's all that matters.
And yeah, so that's really interesting.
It's
For
like
me,
the belief systems and the want for an individual to get better is much more powerful than anything you can measure.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, I love the idea that all we need to do is think about taking the pill, think about the needle going into the skin, and we heal ourselves. Therefore, why don't we all just take sugar pills and cure everything?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing, and that's what throws science off completely. They can measure placebo, but they're measuring the fact that they don't know.
Yeah.
They can't figure it out, and I love that that dismantles the system, because placebo effect is in the middle of measurable and this other etheric realm. But we all agree in that measurable part of placebo, like, well, yeah, that shit happens.
Yeah, and they have to.
Yeah.
They have to, because
they can't dispute it.
Yeah.
They've got all the records.
Yeah.
They've done all the testing.
Yeah.
They have the numbers. They have the whole lot.
Yeah.
And all these people in these tests just go, that sugar pill changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, see, for me, aura represents my ability to feel things that aren't actually touching my skin.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So if I think about my aura, I used to be able to push my aura out so far that I could feel everything that was happening on my little farm when I lived alone. I could sense things going wrong while I'm sleeping. Never locked any of my doors. All of them remain open so all the dogs and cats can come and go as they please. Chicken wants to sleep inside. I can fucking cheek it, sleep inside. It's not a problem. Everything. But I would have random times in the middle of the night that I would be woken because I can feel something and I knew exactly where it was on the property. You know, and there's a horse with its leg through the fence, or a fox in the hen house, or something weird going on along the neighbour fence line. Always sensed it. Problem then that I would have is I'd get in the car and drive on the highway. I can feel everything that everyone that's driving on the highway can feel. Now I'm having a panic attack because I'm just getting, like, you're driving one direction, doing $120. You've got a bunch of traffic going the opposite direction, and I'm picking up everyone's, their anger, their anxiety, all of their emotions all at once, freaking out and never understood it. Someone had to tell me, pull your aura in. Keep all of that energy inside your car. Yeah, so you can shut all the rest of the stuff out. Because, like, Western medicine, just don't know what to do, you're going nuts. Go see this specialist and take these pills, off you go.
Yeah, because we also don't know that in that measurable test where there was maybe there was someone standing there and they're still seeing the debris of that, because they do these tests on leaves as well. They do the energetics of the leaf and then they cut the leaf in half and the energetics are still there. The aura of the leaf is still intact. So they're trying to prove and disprove things, but we don't know if 7 people over 7 years stood in that exact spot and those psychics are picking up those past imprints, because psychics technically work in many different realms at once. So sometimes what you see is not from this timeline. It's from other timelines in this reality. She sees what she needs to see in order to serve people. But if you try and prove what timeline and exactly where, the medicine starts to fade. And we've noticed that particularly with our students. It's like if you teach them how to go beyond the here and now into different realms in their mind, but their ego's still trying to control it, they dilute the experience and they come back into, yeah, but is this actually what it is? Is this real? Blah, blah, blah. Does it matter? If it's working, does it matter?
Yeah. And for
If
those
it helps
people, yeah. And for those people who are struggling because there's fear connected to tapping into all of their etheric fields and feeling into it because there are things going on in it, first question always, am I feeling that because it's mine?
Yeah.
Is there something in my aura that doesn't belong to me that's like now making me feel unwell or scared or giving me some sort of negative emotion that I don't freaking like? What is that? Is that mine? Did I pick something up from someone at the supermarket? Was that from the old bloke at the butcher? Where did that come from? Yeah, did that
Maybe it
come
was
from the
that
police
psychic
officer?
at the op shop trying to tell me my future.
Yeah, might have been my ego yesterday and some of the debris left behind as I flew past a police car on the way down the mountain. Ian's laughing. He's got a speed camera, and I'm like, fucking look how much I'm going over there. I'm getting a speeding ticket.
Maybe.
I just laughed.
You ask your guides to interfere.
Please run interference on that.
Please make
it
sure
be
there's
a
no
glitch
film in the camera.
system.
This is not the car you're looking for.
Oh my goodness.
Please don't let me have that lesson. I don't want that lesson, please.
Oh dear.
Okay, here's a question for all of us, and it's just something that's popped into my brain. It's something I'm very interested in, and I'd like to open it up and see if we can get some structure with it. So I've been looking at past experiences and integrating lessons from past experiences so I can protect myself from going back to difficult places. Yeah? I look at my life 10 years ago and I think, I don't want to be that person. I never want to be in that situation that she was in. How do I protect myself from that? What would be the boundaries and the things I would say to myself to get myself out of that situation, to prevent the trauma, to prevent that very difficult experience? How could I interrupt her and actually speak to her? One of the things is there'd be many decisions that lead to traumatic events for me.
Yep.
Many acts of self-sabotage that would get me into a situation where my guides are like, you're done. This is way too much. You've gone too far. Here's chaos for you now to learn from. And I go, whoa, okay. I think one of the most potent things I would have told myself 10 years ago was that if I don't prioritize time alone now, it's going to get really hard in adulthood to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you're around people all the time, giving them what they want and not having any kind of answer that sounds like no, then you are going to be in the depths of despair soon. And I wish I could have told myself that over and over again. Just take a moment and think about it. Yeah? Just say to people, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Can I answer back in a week?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Can I give you an answer tomorrow? I'm a bit uncomfortable with this. Can I have some time and some space? But that was not my reality then. And now it is, and I'm super grateful. But back then, I wish I could have told myself that over and over again. I would have prevented so much discomfort. But I'm interested to hear the things that you guys would have told yourself, like maybe 5-10 years ago, to protect yourself from pain, I guess.
What could I have told myself? Like, for me, it's very much, I appreciate all of those times because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have them.
Sure.
And I don't want to skip any of them because I know how stubborn I am. So for me, it's just like, well, you're going to be stubborn? Fucking learn the hard way, bitch. Off you go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's just been for me. I actually preferred it that way.
Yeah.
There's nothing really I would want to go back and say to myself to assist it because there was so many valuable lessons in it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have the lessons. I just don't want to go back into the same lessons.
Yeah.
You know when cycles repeat?
Yeah, totally.
And you sit there again, you go, oh God, not this again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me it was just like, well, if you're not going to listen, this is what happens. Oh, you can do the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. Well,
I love how you love serving yourself things. Just like, yep, under the bus. That's where we're going.
Yeah. Choose. You're going to light your hair on fire, that shit's going to burn. Off you go. Where's
Fair
the fucking
enough.
lighter? Here I go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ryan?
I don't really know how to answer that. What advice would I give myself to? I don't know. That's a bit difficult for me. I think I'm a bit the same in the sense that I kind of feel like life unfolds, and yeah, it's not always rosy. But you definitely learn those lessons, and
What would you say to your child to prevent them from the things that nearly broke you?
I think
Because you got to let them go through their
Yeah,
stuff too.
yeah.
I would have just said, you got this, don't worry.
Yeah. I don't know, I think
Self-esteem.
I kind of struggle a bit with, like, I like to think that I follow my intuition.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I feel like my intuition puts me in situations that are fucked. And, you know, that cause fucking misery and pain for not only myself but for other people.
Sure.
And then it's like this thing of like going, oh, well, was it? Was it intuition? Or was it just a thought that I attached my intuition to? And, you know,
And
so...
ring with it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a weird one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually trying to unlock these experiences to grab all the gold from it,
Yeah.
so I can help strategize with people about how to do the same.
Mm.
So the talking to your past self and asking her what she would have done differently or how you would protect her means that when I'm in a similar situation and I'm running thin and I'm not checking in with myself, I can have that wait, hang on. I remember workshopping this. I remember having awareness around this. What was that gold moment that I extracted? And I just go, actually, I'm not sure about this. I need to take a moment.
Yeah.
So I can stay in awareness and intuition. Personally, I don't like learning through trauma and chaos. It's not efficient for me. I try to make it gentler, which means I have to go into my own trauma all the fucking time. Revisit, go back in so I can learn from that.
Yep.
And I say to my guides, please don't throw me under the bus. Please don't take my loved ones. Please don't put disease in my body. I promise I will show up to doing the difficult shadow parts if you spare me that. Just to see, as an experiment, if that's possible, to see whether I can do it without those chaotic experiences. Probably because I'm inherently scared of chaos. I don't like that pain. I don't like seeing other people hurt. I don't like being under the bus in any way. It is difficult for all of us. I don't like having to be told you have to be in bed for the next 3 months because you haven't looked after yourself. I go, oh, this is going to be a very long few months. But yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, and I'm still looking at it from many different aspects to see if we can all be a bit more aware of the little trauma as well, not just the capital T.
Yep.
The capital T trauma is like what our soul needs, we've chosen, consented to it, and if it doesn't actually take you down into the other realms, you'll learn a whole lot. But how do we go into the underworld ourselves willingly, consented, to get the same lessons?
Yeah.
Often we, maybe the bus comes and we nearly get run over, but we don't. And instead of saying, phew, that was close, I go, yeah, but what could have happened? And I look into all the timelines and all the things.
Deep question.
I've got another question for you.
Okay.
So, we've been talking about the conceptual nature of vulnerability,
Yeah.
right? We all know that it's becoming a beautiful thing to unpack. It's really difficult to know what it actually means in an action form. Sometimes we know from doing it and then we go, oh, that was really vulnerable because I nearly felt like crying. But how do we actually be more vulnerable, and what does that look like in actions? Because the conceptual nature almost goes, but that's great. How do I do it? Like, how do I actually go out there? It's not just the intention of, I'm going to be more vulnerable today. Because your ego gets in the way, right? The same with, I'm going to surrender to this thing. 3 months later, I didn't surrender to the thing. Because I don't know what that means.
Don't know what it looks like.
So I wanted to gather from you guys, like, have you had experiences of where you've needed to be vulnerable and you've been aware of that and what it looks like? And like sometimes, it must be different for everyone, I think. But do you have some real life experience of that?
Yeah, for sure. Just hearing you speak about that, one of the things that comes up for me is the relationship between vulnerability and weakness.
Yeah.
You know, as a man, it's almost like there's a programming that's happened, and I feel like, you know, I can be vulnerable, and I feel like I do have an ability to communicate complex emotional situations and feelings most of the time. Sometimes I really struggle, so it's almost like this. It's like I can, and then other times, especially when it involves other people or it's direct with somebody, you know, that it feels like it can lock up. But that relationship between vulnerability and weakness it's like it's below my conscious
it's programmed.
awareness.
Yeah.
So it's like if a situation, it's like overtly calling for vulnerability, then I can step into it.
Yeah.
And I can go, okay, I'm now in that.
Yeah.
But in a general day-to-day, part of that is locked up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want to be, and it's not even I don't want to be, it's almost like a subconscious
Red flag.
It's already there. It's already holding back.
Yeah.
It's already holding back.
Yeah.
Like that's its default.
Yeah. Yeah. To lock everything up.
Yeah. To
just like, don't go there.
Yeah. Don't.
No. Anywhere but there.
That's not actually going to serve you here.
Yeah.
It's not going to. That's not going to be beneficial. And there's been times when it hasn't been. When I feel like it's just made shit fucking worse.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
Because, as I said before, sometimes there's a sense of confusion of what's going on and what's mine, what's shitty thoughts, what's from trauma that's happened in the past, what's from someone said to me that's, stayed with me in some way, and then what's actually my heart and my actual truth. And sometimes that is confusing for me.
Yeah.
And especially when it affects other people, it's like, I'm trying. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I feel like this, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
So vulnerability, I guess that would be the big thing for me is, there is a piece around, weakness.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like, what is it, but also when is it appropriate?
Yeah.
Big emphasis on, is this safe right now?
Yeah.
So it's like the right person, the right time.
Yeah.
It's always a risk, I find.
Massive.
It always feels like a risk. It always feels uncomfortable. I sometimes don't know that it's vulnerable until I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Until my whole body just goes, wait, maybe don't.
Yeah.
Maybe just keep that bit inside, and then it burns like a flame, and I'm like, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's going to come out.
Yeah.
Quick, ask for consent.
Yeah.
But what about for you?
Yeah, it's very much about speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being really tuned in. It's like, actually, how do I feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, real vulnerability just dissolves any patterning or conditioning that says you can't say those things if it hurts that person. It's just true vulnerability is, here it is.
Yeah.
If that upsets you, I'm sorry, but this is my truth. And in this moment, whether I feel safe or not, it's got to be explored. Because a lot of the time, there's fear for me trapped in, am I safe doing it?
Yes.
Because in the past, it's always no, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Right, okay, but I cannot live my life like that now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die. I might upset some people. Well, that's a bit of bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they might not be receptive. They might just be like, whatever. I find it facilitates safety for me.
Yeah.
It's almost like my access code to feeling like I can voice what I need in the moment and there's no crazy volcanic eruption of chaos.
Yeah.
It's more like some people are receptive, some people aren't, but at least I was true to myself and said, I'm not uncomfortable, I'm feeling this, that's a no, that's a yes, and in this moment I'm just going to tell you what I need to tell you.
Yep.
And even if that's myself, yeah, how about you just admit that you need help here is the biggest vulnerable curve for me.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter who helps me or in what condition or whether they run to my rescue. It's more that I said, I don't have it all figured out. I need help here. And that's enough often. And then I feel safe within myself, and it breeds safety within contracts as well, I believe.
Yeah.
There's nothing more infuriating than loving someone that won't be vulnerable. We've seen that, right? You're just like, if you would just be honest with yourself and soften a little bit, right? I've seen that. Just like, if you were more honest and you were more vulnerable, I would trust this connection more. But you won't allow that for yourself, and it makes it very difficult for me to feel safe too. So I've seen that where vulnerability is not an option, it's a no-go zone, will not go there. Even if it's good vulnerability or bad vulnerability. Like, I'm feeling so connected to you, I love you so much, is the same as I'm not feeling connected to you and I don't know why. It's all vulnerable, because we're actually speaking about the depths of the experience.
Yeah.
But I find probably the biggest hack into vulnerability is I need help, or I don't understand, or I'm uncomfortable in this moment. Because sometimes I'm so uncomfortable with how much I'm feeling in a good way. And I always locked that inside because that wasn't appropriate for everyone.
Yeah.
Because they were all pissed off complaining about everything. And I was like, I feel like I'm in love with everything and the euphoria in my body is actually really overwhelming. Can I tell someone that? Whatever. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll just lock that away as well. So it's a really interesting conversation a lot of people are talking about. A lot of my clients go, okay, I'll be more vulnerable. Wait, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. And when do I do it and with who?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, more questions from the Pixies. Okay. Angel, what is happening? What is happening when I feel my grandfather's presence during my life? Obviously, the grandfather is deceased.
All right, so generally, rule of thumb, if spirit enters your life, spirit has message. First question we ask spirit, are you malevolent or are you benevolent?
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they are definitely benevolent, then we are asking, what is it that you need me to know? Yeah, are you simply going to be a presence in my life watching over me? So that gives me some form of comfort. Are you here to warn me about something or encourage me towards something that perhaps I'm fearful of? But it's generally some sort of message.
Yeah.
Yeah? You shouldn't be drinking that many cups of coffee. You need to stop smoking. It's not good for you. Eat more vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah? You need to have more fun in your life.
Yeah.
You need to not stress so much. You need to stop worrying. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But for most people, sometimes they are just that guiding light. And other times it's like, you need to get on with this bullshit. What are you doing?
Yeah, I guess like feeling someone beautiful in your life that's deceased with you changes your energetics straight away.
Yep.
So if I'm sitting here and I feel my father's presence, all of a sudden I'm comforted. I might be driven in more ways. I might hear his voice. It changes my perception of this reality and what's going on. So sometimes you're right, it's a hack, it's a motivator, it's a push. Sometimes it's sinking into grief or just a wake-up call of some kind. And then there is always an option to engage, right? So we would teach people that are getting visits in the middle of the night by strange spirits, engage, have a conversation, figure out why they're there, because getting visits in the middle of the night isn't ideal. Yeah, we don't need you to be disrupted all the time for you to actually engage, because usually they have some kind of issue or something they need as well. Yeah, I think relatives are more of a comforting force. I'm going to help you out because you're still in that body and that's hard and I'm up here, so why not?
Yeah.
But other visiting spirits are usually looking for, can you get me out of this house? Can you cross me over?
Yeah.
Can you like
I'm
stop?
stuck, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, can you stop lighting that candle that really annoys me or whatever? But we teach definitely engage, figure out why they're there.
Always.
Beautiful. Okay, so What about... Beautiful question that came through. Can a soul split in two?
Here we go. Yep.
And what does that mean?
All right. So for many, they have an understanding that if a soul chooses to split in two, so they get double for their money in the form of evolution, it is usually called the twin flame. Yeah, simply because should you incarnate at the same time as the other half of your soul and your paths cross in an incarnation, it is just about impossible to be separated from them. No matter what is happening in your life, you can't be without that person. You feel like you're missing a limb without them. Can't breathe, can't eat, can't function, can't think, can't find any joy or happiness. Once you meet them, you realise you are the person that you're the part of me that I've been missing my whole life. They can't explain it. So often it's given the understanding, a label or a name that says that's your twin flame. Yeah, simply because that's the other half of your soul. And you get together and it's just, So there's so much beauty and there's so much hardship. It is the other half of you. So you're going to see all the shadow in it, all the problems with it. It's going to irritate you like all hell. They're going to piss you off in so many ways. All of it is opportunity to learn, grow, evolve.
Yeah, it's interesting, hey? And then I guess a lot of the questions that you might get is this person in my relationship my twin flame? Like, is this, and what's the difference between a soulmate and a twin flame? How do I actually comprehend that? And what does that mean? And some people actively search for their twin flame, which I would be cautious about, because if we think that that's going to be just the union and the completion and the things, it might also be the great disruptor. It usually is. That never stops. It's like coming forward towards your completion and your kryptonite at the same time.
Yes.
Difficult to hold and to understand. You'd constantly be negotiating, like, are we better off evolving together even though we're the same soul, or are we better off having some distance, or maybe coming in and out? There's no recipe for that. There'd be no 3D conditioning that protects you.
All they know from all of my experiences seeing them in life is they can't be without each other.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is, it's as chaotic as it can be, they're forever drawn back. Most of them find peace in the middle, but it can take many years sorting out their bullshit.
Yeah.
To be able to live peacefully together. Yeah. A soulmate's generally someone you've had many incarnations with. Yeah. Love them, but you can leave them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are many soulmates. We're a huge soul family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soulmate doesn't always mean intimate lover either.
No, it does not.
So it's tribe, it's family.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be parent, child, relative, best friend, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soulmate. So if you are in a relationship that's intimate with a soulmate, you'll feel all those levels of comfort and knowing, like, there's something about you. Yeah, it's because I've known you before. We've done this before. It's all good. But the twin flame, where the soul is torn in two, very different. Now, there's another way a soul can be torn, they say. You can tear a soul through magic because there's something you want, and the thing that you want has a very high price.
Oh my God, I'm so intrigued.
I just think of Voldemort.
Same thing. That's where the information comes from.
Yeah.
So same thing, you can take a life, it'll tear a piece of your soul out. You can go through a huge trauma and lose a piece of your soul as well.
So is this different to the shamanic version of soul fragments?
Can be very similar.
Right.
Yeah. So I would see that absolutely. It's a piece of the soul that's been torn off from the main part of the soul and it's been left behind. It's damaged. Yeah, that needs cleaning up, fixing up and replacing.
Yeah.
In magic, you're actually signing a contract, you're doing a deal. Because there's something that you want that perhaps maybe you're not ready for, you don't deserve, you haven't worked for, whatever. You're finding a backdoor in to get the thing that you want. Yeah, so for me, number one rule is you never interfere with the free will of another. Yeah, harm none. That's always the rule in magic. So I know a lot of witches that go out and go, but I want that person in my life.
So they sign an agreement and make a sacrifice to get them.
What is the price? A piece of their soul.
So they
I've
are
seen that many times
forever torn.
too. Often that love never lasts because it's not real, and there's always a piece of them missing that's huge.
So they set themselves up for pain,
Yeah, basically.
wounding,
They got
Right.
what they wanted.
but it wasn't what they needed. Wasn't their highest
No,
needs.
and it doesn't last either. It's not real.
Because you interfere with a soul that might not be ready for you, might not want that for themselves. It's very interesting when two souls come together and like the time stamp on it.
Yep.
Because you ever met people and you're like, eh.
A lot of people
And then
too.
sometime later you're like, oh,
Yeah, a lot of
Something's
people
happening
too have this idea in their mind that that person is what they want. They don't realise what they're seeing in that person is that person's potential, not who that person truly is.
I'm so glad you opened this up. Mm-hmm.
It's not who the person truly is. It is simply their potential.
Okay.
They have the potential for greatness. They have the potential for love. They have the potential to be this wonderful person that you imagine them to be. However, they're caught up in addiction, and they're caught up in their depression and their trauma and their anger issues and everything else. Like it's a package deal. No human's got this shit together. It's a package deal. But you've got this idea in your mind of this person's potential.
I love this. Okay. I see this the most, and I've done it so many times, in those that would identify with on some level the rescuer, the mother, the coach, the one that says, I'll get you there. I can see your potential. I'll get you there. The fixer, also the shadow aspects of that is the controller, the over-nurturer, the over-giver.
Yeah.
It's like you meet someone and you decide that their future potential is worth dating or being in a relationship. So you set that up and you're forever leaking into that potential, taking away from the need of that soul to find their own potential and a different flavor than what you think is good for them. And then you don't look at the reality of the contract in that time.
Yeah.
Like you always teach me, like you can love someone but realize that they are not ready or receptive of the person that you need to be. If they're a hot mess, you can just say, that's great.
Yeah.
Love you dearly, but not, it's going to work right now.
I'm just going to love you from over there. I'm
Yeah.
going to go over there and love you from over there.
And I can still see your future potential, but until I see that in actuality,
Yeah.
or whether you're working on it, I can't risk my resources trying to fix the problem.
I can't invest here right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And I think we do that in relationships a lot. We're certainly programmed very heavily to do that. I see a lot of discourse between couples and things, just saying, yeah, but he's a good person. Yeah, but she's going to get there. Yeah, but she's on the way. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the reality of the situation now? And are you actually accepting and loving of that person
Exactly
right now?
as they are. Not this idea of their potential, but exactly as they are.
And I hack
That's
in.
the problem I see.
Yeah, I hack into myself and say, if they never changed, if they stayed exactly as they are in this moment forever, could you love that?
Yeah.
And I go, oh, okay.
It's a hard question to ask.
So the fantasies and the imaginations of, yeah, but they're going to get there and they're going to make more money and then they're going to be well and they're going to stop that and then I'm going to help them with this. What if none of that happened and they were just exactly as they are right now, forever? How would that look? And then sometimes one part of you just goes, oh, yeah.
And for many, they do not see that. They tear a piece of their soul off as part of payment. Yeah. What's the payment for? The purchase of the potential of this individual entering a relationship, forcing their will upon another, and that ending in disaster.
It's a very ego territory, isn't it?
Huge.
It's like, I need to satisfy this part of myself in something outside of me that I believe is going to change.
Yep.
There is nothing more, now that I see it from that perspective, there is nothing more controlling than that. But if I say, if I love that person dearly and I accept them in this moment, and I really don't mind how they play out this incarnation, could I love them if they were broke and unwell and in a hospital bed for the next 2 decades?
Yeah.
The right people? Fucking absolutely. I am right there next to the hospital bed, just like, what do you want to do now? Do you want to play with
What are
tarot?
we
Do you
doing?
want to do this? Do you
Let's
want to
do
do
all
that?
the things.
Other people, I think, know there's conditions around it. My intuition says when they're great, I love it.
Yeah.
When they're not, it's too difficult for me.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah. So looking at the reality of the person in the contract, because contracts have a way of stirring in and out. Sometimes it's a not now, but people go through such painful self-sabotage to convince themselves, but it has to be now and it has to be that person and I have to find the one. How about the one's looking for you, but it's just not time? Might be this lifetime, might be the next, we don't know.
Yeah.
It's difficult for the ego to be like, yeah, but I want it now. And I want them to be well so I don't have to look at how much fear I feel when they're not.
Yeah.
And I want them to make enough money because I don't like my own programs around scarcity. And I want them to be like this so I don't have to look at my own bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all the territory of the ego and we've got to keep on hacking into it and making sure it doesn't get overwhelming. All right, my beautiful friends. One more question before we go.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see what the pixies have sent in. Very simple question, but I love it. Why do souls come to Earth?
Oh,
It's cute, isn't it?
it's very cute. Why do souls come to Earth? Some souls are just gluttons for punishment. Mine is. I understand the need and desire of a soul for more. Yeah, I want more experiences. What does that look like? I need to incarnate at another timeline and have the experience of that timeline. Yeah, so I know I'm going to keep coming back. I want to drive a car that flies.
Cool. I support that. Maybe I'll come back with you.
I want to be able to step through stargates and just land on another planet. You know, 17 galaxies away. All the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I just keep coming back for more experience. Yeah, and I keep coming back to this planet because I like its biodiversity. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I guess the question opens up a personal journey and then a more widespread, like, what are we all doing here?
Yeah.
Because we could be on any planet, right?
Yep.
So through shamanism, we teach our students, and eventually in advanced levels, you do journeys beyond death. You look at like the biggest scope of what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the most basic answer is just to learn. Just to learn.
To learn to have the experiences. So if I think about all the experiences, you're going to get a huge range of experiences on this planet. Why?
Yeah.
Because we're just so far behind. We've just got so much to learn as a race.
Yep.
So, yeah, and we get a huge scope in the experience in comparison. So we get to have all of the feelings, all the highs, all the lows, and everything in between.
Yeah. Well, they say, and through my psychic experiences, I would confirm for myself too, that Earth is so polar, such a diverse contrast of light and dark.
Mm.
You're literally being pulled in two directions all the time at once. Love and fear, always.
Yep.
Light and dark, yin and yang, the whole thing. We are here to recognize how contrasting those concepts are and to live through it. It's like this beautiful classroom that if you kicked your kid in, you know they're going to have the highs and the lows and everything else in between, but they're going to come out of that classroom like, all right, I get it. I get it.
They
I
get
looked
the
at my
full
bullshit.
experience.
I
The
fucking
full experience.
yeah. I had the highs, I had the lows, I felt great, then I felt shit. I've learned something, my soul has developed, it's healed, but it's also created more wounding all at once. And we go along that journey so that our soul can unlock more evolution. And it doesn't mean it's the only option to learn that way, but it's certainly a diverse way. Hopefully we can hang out in different planetary systems next time because it seems a lot more, I know advanced is a word, but maybe harmonious would be the word that I would use.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe gentle or more evolved or effortless in some way. But
There's
we're
a lot less contrast in it.
yeah, we're here to learn from friction. Yeah, from literal, like, polarities in who we are, and it's good for us, yeah. That's why we choose the human experience. Maybe less friction as an animal soul, I don't know. I'll let you know next time I come
It's a
through.
much
and-
shorter life.
Yeah. And shorter is blissful.
Yeah, but when you're an animal, you constantly worry about getting eaten. So I can't imagine that's.
But that's simple.
Yeah.
Imagine instead
Survival
of...
is simplistic.
Yeah, imagine instead of going out negotiating how vulnerable you need to be today and
Yeah.
for people
And still have to
love you,
like make sure you go to work and do all the things. You can come home, pay your bills, so you can survive.
you just like hide behind that bush because you're
Oh,
about to get eaten.
And I'm dead.
Pretty much. And we're done.
Well, you just work it out really quick. If I go here, there's a high chance of death there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got to work that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't just avoid that.
Yeah. And now it's spring, so I look for the other gender. It's easy. I do the thing, go about my merry way. It's not a problem.
It's coming back as a bush turkey.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
resilient.
fucking hard to kill.
Yeah, they are
God
so
damn.
resilient. Yeah.
And they don't have to look after their babies. They
No, just pop them
rake in a big friggin' pile of like leaf litter and debris. Pop the eggs in there. Just every now and again dig it up. Is it warm enough? Does it need more leaf litter? Does it need less leaf litter? That's it.
And then it's
Once
like,
they hatch,
you're on your own.
None of my problem no more. I'm out.
See you later. Have fun.
Yep. I'm out. See you later.
Go annoy those people down the street. They love it.
Yeah.
Dig up that garden around the corner. They love that too.
Come back as a bush turkey. It's gonna piss off everyone.
Perfect.
Yay.
Do you both have any questions? No, I think we're good. Satisfied?
Yeah.
Happy? Okay. So thank you for joining us. This has been a long-awaited episode of Spoken Synergy. Thank you for sending in your questions. We love you all so much. We are filming on Wanjirabara soil here, and we do pay respects to all the elders past, present and emerging. Thank you for joining us here, and we'll see you again soon.